No, man, that's a good one.
We had no executive session, there was no minutes.
You need-
The motion to go back into regular session.
Make a motion to go back to regular session.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Logan, to go back into executive regular session. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Back to regular session. Any other business? Have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr.
Lee.
Deloach to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Any carries, we adjourn. Ready? I'm going to call to order the Effingham County Board of Commissioners meeting this September the 5th, 2019 at 5:08, I believe is what it's like. Ask everyone to please rise for the invocation given by Roger Dead and Commissioner Floyd for leading us in our pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all you do. Lord, we're grateful to serve Almighty God. Lord, we're grateful that our chairman's back here safely and from his journey, Lord. We're thankful for all you've done on that, Lord. We pray tonight it's glorifying you in some way, Lord. We pray the things we say and do and decide on here glorifying you as well, Father. Thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving down to 4, agenda approval. Consideration of the resolution to approve the agenda. Do you have any corrections or additions tonight, Stephanie? Not hearing, so I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second Mr. Deloach to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We have our agenda set. Next item is consideration to approve the minutes of the January 15, 2019 regular commissioners meeting. I've read those minutes that appear to be inactive.
I will be voting, I was not at that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the minutes are approved. I want to welcome Judge Pete here with us tonight. I want to you want to share anything or have anything to share. Is this on the agenda? I'm sorry, it's on the agenda.
We can go ahead to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and do that so we can just help the judge. I know it's time for that. We appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Gates Pete. And I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you. I'm one of your Superior Court judges. I've been in that position for now going on 19 years. And during the time that I've been a Superior Court judge, we have done the juvenile work, doubling as Superior Court judges, juvenile judges. The Superior Court has authority over the juvenile court, and if there are juvenile judges, the Superior Court's the one that appoints them. To cut to the chase, 20 years ago when I was campaigning, I remember coming to Effingham County and traveling all of the back roads and by roads and highways and so forth. And there was one thing that stuck in my mind, that people in Effingham County, particularly the old Salzburgers, they'd look you dead in the eye and they'd tell you whether they were for you or whether they were against you. And so I'll just cut to the chase like they did and tell you exactly why I'm here. I'm here to ask you to fund the juvenile court in the appointment of 2 part-time judges. And not only fund it, but I'm asking you to fund a portion based on population in the circuit of $75,530. The portion for Effingham County based on population would be $27,652. And I wanted to be specific because I would, if I were in your shoes, I'd want somebody to be specific with me. Don't beat around the bush. Tell me exactly what you want and why you want it. Let me back up a little bit and tell you a little bit about juvenile court, because I know it's easy to confuse it with the rest of the court system. It would be for me. One of the first things when I got out of law school that I tried to understand was what exactly is the court system in Georgia. And I'm still learning that 36 years later. We in this circuit are the only circuit that still double as juvenile judges. Sometime back in the late 80s, early 90s, the legislature passed a bill to fund with state funds the provision for salary for a juvenile judge for every circuit, or for juvenile judges for every circuit. Could be full-time, could be part-time, and so forth. But over time, all of the circuits, there are 49 of them in the state of Georgia, all of them except Bullitt County, not Bullitt, but that's where most of us are, but or all of us are. But the circuit, the Ogeechee circuit, is the last to not have a juvenile court separately. It's a collective decision of the court, and it's been a long time coming and urging by a lot of folks. I think some here in Effingham as well. I've heard from some all over the circuit. I've even heard from some chief justices of the Supreme Court. Why don't y'all have a juvenile judge? I was on the Judicial Council back in 2004, served for 4 years there until 2008, and I was constantly asked that by Harris Hines. Harris was the most recent Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, died in a car wreck shortly after he retired. But he always had an interest in the juvenile court. Let me tell you what our plan is. You probably have seen some announcement in the paper, but our plan is to appoint 2 part-time judges to take over the juvenile caseload starting July 1 of 19. The juvenile caseload for this circuit in the calendar year 18 was 865 cases. The Effingham portion of that was 294 cases. So when we're talking about juvenile court, what are we talking about? Let me tell you what we're not talking about. We're not talking about trying felony cases. We're not talking about domestic cases. We're not talking about drug court cases. We're not talking about mental health court cases. We're talking about cases dealing with children, and there are 2 basic types. One type are those that are dependent. Those involve the Department of Family and Children's Services. Children that are deprived in some way, neglected, not cared for as they ought to be. And the other type are delinquents. Delinquents are the ones that commit status offenses like runaway, or commit criminal offenses like traffic offenses, like shoplifting, even felony offenses like child molestation and others. But 294 of those cases were in Effingham in the calendar year 2018. What have we done in an effort to move in that direction? As Chief Judge, I sent a letter to Eric John, who is the Executive Director of the Council of Superior Court Judges, asking him to have put in the budget this year for this circuit the funding for the maximum amount of funding that the state will provide for juvenile court judges. But that funding can only be used for the payment of salary for a juvenile court judge or judges. And that means that every other expense is borne by the counties and the circuit. And I'll tell you how particular it is, even the FICA, Social Security taxes, the employer portion cannot be funded out of the state funds. And it's our guesstimation, that what would be needed in order to operate the court is $75,530, and we think that we have been frugal in that estimation. To tell you what we will need and the specifics of it, I can go through that quickly. First of all, we think that those judges, and we want two that would serve part-time, those judges need a central point that everything will be routed through, and that will be in charge of scheduling, getting them where they're supposed to be, getting the cases where they're supposed to be, getting them transported. There's a lot of moving parts in juvenile court, that even more moving parts in some respect than there are in Superior Court. So we think that we need money for a judicial secretary, and I hope one can be hired for $35,000. That sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but given what they'll do, it's not a lot of money. The FICA portion of the secretary as well as the judges would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,330. Judicial retirement has to be provided by law and can't be paid out of the state funds. And that's approximately $5,000. Continuing education, we put $2,500 in the budget for that because judges can't serve unless they're qualified. They can't even be qualified to sit unless they have had the sufficient number of hours for continuing judicial legal education for juveniles. Court reporter, and this is a wild guess, but juvenile cases are required to be reported by law. And every time a judge goes in the courtroom, court reporter's got to be there. Court reporters cost $200 a day. And our estimate is $19,200 for the year. And I think we've been really, really conservative with that, and that might not be enough. Mileage to travel the circuit, $2,500. Supplies to run the office, $1,000. All of those numbers add up to $75,530. Now, as it breaks down, Effingham's portion of it is 36.61%. Now, let me end by saying our timetable for this process of putting the juvenile court in place, transitioning to July 1 to move those cases from our docket to somebody else's docket, and to put all the moving parts in place will take until July 1, and here's what we hope to happen. This is the first commission meeting that I've gone to, but on February 12th and February 19th, I'll be at the other, I or somebody will be at the other commission meetings asking them for the same thing that I'm asking you tonight. So by the end of February, we hope to have from the commission, the commissions of the circuit, a commitment to fund the court. All of the counties in the circuit, to my remembrance, are all fiscal year accounting, July 1, June 30. So I hope I'm in sync there. If I'm not, I'm sure that somebody will tell me. So if we have commitment by the end of February, middle of March, then we intend to notice, although we're not required by law, it's the only fair and right thing to do, we intend to notice all of the lawyers in the circuit and ask them if they would like to apply to do that. And we've developed an application so that they can apply. And then we would hope to review those applications, interview those people that are interested, make a decision, and hopefully by middle of March, end of April, have 2 judges selected. They wouldn't start till July 1. We can get paid till July 1. But that means that they would have April, May, and June to hire a secretary to transition their schedules, because they're going to be part-time lawyers, part-time judges. Transition their schedules, get a secretary in place, and put the moving parts together. And the moving parts together, as I said again, are the judges, the secretary, juvenile justice, DFACS, DA, PD, sheriff's office, scheduling, clerks of court, courtroom space, court reporter, just to name a few. So that's what I'm asking for and why I'm asking it. And I know that y'all might have questions. I'm glad to. Tell me that's not me. So if you have questions, I'm glad to answer questions tonight or later.
Yeah. Judge, I really appreciate it. I felt for a long time when you were at the juvenile judge system, and I like the idea of what, which I know Michael has been pushing for this for a long time as well too. So this is exciting to me. Any comments from the board? Any other questions? Or?
I appreciate the specific numbers and specific information.
I think we need one.
Yeah. Well, I know the children's services around the county that do mentoring programs, different ones that told me if you have any encouragement to the justice system, ask them for that. So I appreciate this is good to hear that the judges are supporting it and wanting to do this.
Well, our docket only grows. I can tell you that just on my docket alone, I've got 10 murder cases pending, and 3 in Effingham. And all of them are of recent vintage, but almost every one of them take a week to try. That's 10 weeks of trial. And it's probably not premature that it's been done and decided.
You know, and I know it's going to be tough to be deciding over those particular cases and try to deal with these young lives and take the time and thoughtfully consider. I know you do a great job of that. This is great to move, I think. So what's the next step? You'll be presenting this budget to be put on our agenda, Stephanie? Is that what we're doing?
Question?
I'll be glad to.
Judge Peete,
Sure.
what do you hope to accomplish by this? Is it to lessen the workload that are served for the kids, or what's the main goal?
Well, I don't want to establish unreasonable expectations, because a judge is not an investigator, a judge is not a service provider, a judge is not a mentor. A judge is a judge, and a judge is someone that makes decisions based on what's brought to them. I would say that in the juvenile context, it's a little bit different, but still, and some states even call them referees. So I would say that what's hoped to be accomplished is maybe a more in-depth handling of the caseload. Not that it's that plenty of attention hadn't been given to it already. I mean, I've been doing juvenile cases for 19 years now. Judge Woodrum before me, Judge Turner before me, Judge Martin before us. Judge Hawkins, Judge Renfro, all of those who came before us, they did juvenile work. So it's not a cure-all, but maybe, hopefully, more attention can be given to it. One problem that we all have out here in the quote country, and I take that as a compliment when people say I'm from the country. But one problem that we have is we don't have the resources of Metro Atlanta. But thank God we don't have all of the problems they have either. And I mean that very sincerely. It's not a cure-all, but putting 2 folks in place to handle the caseload over the circuit, to maybe work more closely with DFACS, with DJJ, Department of Juvenile Justice, and a fresh look. You know, when you write a paper, you always give it to somebody else to proofread. Maybe a fresh look might help the whole system. So I know that's a wishy-washy answer.
Do you have any feelings how the other counties, if you will get support from the other counties as well? Or
Well-
let's say one decides they don't want to participate, which I hope they would, I think you've got our support. But
Thank you, I appreciate that. I really don't think that there will be anybody that will say no, particularly when you look at the populations of Screven and Jenkins County, and I can see one of the other counties saying, well, you know, our share sure is big, our caseload is bigger than the others, but I mean, they have problems too, and it takes time to do theirs too. Because last year, Screven County only had 94 juvenile cases. Effingham had 294. Jenkins only had 36. Bullock had 441.
that's the bullet right there.
Yeah. Bullock's share is $35,740. Jenkins, $4,400. Scriven, $7,800. Ballpark round figures. So I don't expect that there would be anybody that goes rogue.
Is it based on population or is it based on caseload?
Population. And historically, that's what it's always been. Historically, that's what it is with the circuit budget. But we've heard a lot of community leaders who are community leaders. I'm not sure. But we've heard a lot from folks saying we need a juvenile court judge. My question to them has been, quite frankly, in the past, well, what is it, where's the deficiency that's going to be resolved by that? I'm not saying that there's not a deficiency, just talk to me, tell me. But anyway, I hope that's been some adequate response to the questions. Any other questions?
If you do this, then the kids will have a better shot at getting help in the case where they need help, and to be more in-depth investigations, more in-depth judgments.
I don't know that there would be any more in-depth investigations or not, because law enforcement is who's dealing with it, and Department of Juvenile Justice, and their staff is still the same. And quite frankly, this is one person's opinion. Some of those folks need tough love. I'm a firm believer in that.
Yes, sir.
But hopefully it will be better.
Yes, sir.
Other questions?
No, we appreciate it. Good. Thank you, Judge. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. And I'll be glad to leave with Stephanie, your request.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
And if y'all don't mind, I'll bow out.
We don't mind at all.
Thank you.
You can go right ahead. Okay, we'll go ahead and go back up and just talk to public and who's here tonight. Comments on the agenda tonight, if you'd like to make comments, please keep them to the agenda, keep them 2 or 3 minutes so that anybody else wants to comment, there will be sufficient time for that. Our documents for this meeting are located in the clerk's office and on the Board of Commissioners website. If you had a chance to review those there, in anticipation you'd like to join us in tonight. And having already heard from Judge P, we'll move to our consent agenda, which is one item consideration to approve to renew the memorandum of understanding between the Effingham County Board of Education and the Effingham County Board of Commissioners for ambulance service at various Board of Education events. Do you have a motion to approve that?
Make a motion to approve order number 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Loper, second by Mr. Deloach, to approve alternative number 1, which is approval of consent agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And consent agenda is approved. Move to our old business. We have one item, consideration to approve amendment number 2 to the solid waste collection and recycling service agreement 17-001 with the land waste services. April 1/15, 2019.
Good evening, I'm Charlton, purchasing agent. We'd like to request that this item be removed from the agenda so that we have more chance to discuss it, if that's acceptable to the board, with the chairman being away. We'd like to.
To remove it or table it?
Yes. Remove it. That way, if it's not ready by the 15th, then chances are it won't be because the agenda meeting is this coming Thursday for the next upcoming meeting.
I understand. And so we don't need any motion for that, then we just remove it from the agenda, right? We need a motion for that?
You do, yes.
Okay. We have a motion, that's true, to approve the agenda. We have a motion to remove item number 1 of old business.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, and then I get her to keep it first on that one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries.
Thank you.
Move to our new business. Consideration to approve employment agreement with Inter-County Administrative Service for Inter-County Administrative Services between the Effingham County Board of Commissioners and Mr. Billy Beck. I'll just say that everybody has a contract and you read that. Is there any questions before we call the motion?
I asked Chris about it. Is he the one that be finish the business on April 18th? I mean, he's not going any. I thought originally he was going to stay with us until we hired somebody.
He's planning to, we did April 18th because he has a trip party planned to Japan, I believe. It's about 2 weeks, and if we still want him, he's willing to come back and put that where he got off and go until we get completed on our side.
No problem.
Because we're optimistic that he can find somebody that quick, so we'll talk to him.
Well, I thought that was sort of quick.
Yeah,
So
it is.
that's the reason I was asking the question.
Good question, we'll be back if we're not complete with it. Any other questions? Do I have a motion? Alternative 1 is to approve the contract.
I make a motion to approve contract to approve Billy Beckett as our next interim county administrator.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Loper. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And it carries. With that, we'll say we appreciate Chris's working with us, but he was awarded the chairman of the school board through election, so he's obviously a very popular man over there in that county too, but we appreciate your service and efforts here. You got a good project list that you got me prepared and keeping that up with. And he said he makes up available to Billy as he needs it, but we all want to thank you so much for stepping up and giving us great leadership. And appreciate
Thank you,
it.
I've enjoyed it. Appreciate the support of y'all too.
Thank you, sir. Item number 2, surplus, consideration to approve the resolution of surplus.
Fiona Charlton, purchasing agent. From time to time, the county has broken, unused, damaged or extra inventory, and in order for the county to properly dispose of these items, they must be declared surplus in accordance with OCGA 36-9-2. This resolution consists of a 2006 F350 ambulance, which is the oldest in the fleet. As the county is slowly replacing ambulances, staff would like to surplus this one while it is still in running order with the hope of getting a decent sale price. Staff recommends alternative 1, board's approval of the resolution of surplus.
Any questions or discussion? Motion.
Make a motion to approve order number 1.
Motion, Mr. Roper, second, by Mr. Floyd, to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 3, consideration to approve change order number 1 with Griffin Contract Incorporated for contract 18007 road crossing improvements.
On March 6, 2018, the board approved a contract with Griffin Contracting for railroad crossing improvements. The contract is unit price. Some line items had a larger quantity and some line items had a smaller quantity. The net change was $11,601.26, which will bring the total contract to $453,517.50. As funding is available in SPLOST, staff recommends alternative number 1.
Just one real quick question. Everybody bid on the same number of units is what we're saying, so they had a unit price.
Yes.
Any other questions? Got a motion for alternative number 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Floyd, to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
Thank you.
Item number 4, consideration to approve resolution for collection of state cable and video service franchise fee for services provided by Effingham County.
Good evening, Christy Carpenter, Finance Director. On November 29th of 2018, Teleview LLC filed an application with the Secretary of State to expand its service area to all counties of Georgia. So we are asking that the county approve a resolution to collect a franchise fee of 5% of that provider's gross revenues generated within the unincorporated area of the county. Those changes will take effect on January 1 of 2019, and staff recommends alternative 1.
Okay, the attorney has reviewed that agreement. Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Any other questions?
Is the 5% more standard for this type of thing?
It is.
Got a motion for alternative number 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
That's from Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Luker for alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. Item number 5, consideration to approve for the chairman to execute a contract with Bingham Arbitrage, I can't say it, Rebate Services Incorporated to perform the arbitrage, is that right?
Arbitrage.
Rebates and compliance of revenue bonds.
Yes, on July 6th of 2017, the county issued the bonds in the amount of $28,845,000 to repay the JIFA loans and obtain $8 million for water and sewer projects. Those funds are subject to arbitrage law. So we are requesting permission to enter a contract with Bingham Arbitrage Services to perform those arbitrage compliance on those bonds. They have been invested and are earning interest, which will more than cover the cost of the service. The cost is $1,300 for the first 2 years, $1,000 for year 3, and $750 for years 4 and 5 if we need it. Once we've used those funds, they're no longer subject to arbitrage. So if we finish those projects early, these expenses will stop.
It's 1,300 for the 2 years or 1,300 each for one?
$1,300 each for years 1 and 2.
You brought to a highway.
Now, I just didn't understand this one thing. It said this arbitrage rebate reports every 5 years. We're 2 years
It does.
into it.
We are. What they do is the arbitrage is calculated at 5 years. So if you owe a rebate to the IRS on those investments, basically that's what they're looking at. You can't earn more than you're paying on the bond. So, but you only report it to the IRS every 5 years. What this company does is they come in and they tell us, do we owe it or do we not, and how much, so we can record the liability so it's not a surprise on year 5 or at the end of the bonds.
Knowing what we need to do.
Right, and if we spend it all this year or next year, that will be finished with this contract at that time, once we've expended all of the money. And they'll do the final report to the IRS, and there won't be anything else due.
Okay, 5 years started not with the bonds, it started when we started investing, what you're saying.
It actually starts with the bonds, so from 2017. So we are in year 3, but we are just starting to spend the money, so we'll be at the $1,300 rate for this year and next.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Have a motion for alternative number 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Kiefer to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. Item number 6, consideration to approve an increase in the designated operation funds for the general fund.
Yes, on April 3rd of 2007, the board approved to increase the operating reserve, or that rainy day fund, from $750,000 to $4.2 million in accordance with the guidance of GFOA, who recommends 2 months or 15% of operating expenses be kept in reserves as designated operational funds. We're requesting to increase that reserve to $6 million to remain in compliance with those guidelines. Staff recommends alternative 1.
Okay, any questions from the board? He has a healthy reserve, that'd be good. You have a motion for alternative number 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Motion from Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Burdette, to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries.
Thank you.
Item number 7, consideration to approve a proposal to issue a contract to GeoConnex for a new computer-aided dispatch CAD system for 911 and the Sheriff's Office.
Fiona Charlton, purchasing agent. Support for the county's current computer-aided dispatch system expires in July 2019. An RFP for a replacement CAD system was issued and advertised in the usual places and was sent to known vendors. A mandatory pre-bid meeting was held and responses were received from all of the attendees. The bid results are in your packets. After viewing demos and reviewing the proposals, staff believe that GeoConnex offers the best CAD system for the county. The contract documents have now been approved by the county attorney, and as funds will be budgeted in this fiscal year, staff recommend alternative 1 with the change that the chairman can now sign the documents because they have been approved.
How long do these systems normally last? I mean, this is good for 5 years or?
The previous system was installed, I believe, 2008.
Yes.
10 years.
Jay Spinks, 911 Director. Good afternoon. Yes, typically the lifespan of a CAD system is about 10 to 12 years, and we are approaching the 10th year. We are operating on the original CAD system that was installed in 2009 at the 911 Center.
Is it an ongoing annual fee? I mean, we were already paying a certain amount of money?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's an annual service fee. It typically, you may look at a 3 to 5% increase every year on it. It depends on the upgrades that's involved in the technology.
I thought this was actually less, I thought we paid $87,000.
For the maintenance, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Jay's talking about the system, the actual CAD system.
Yes.
But the support system ends in 5 years for this, isn't it? If I'm reading this right.
It's actually 6 because the first year is included.
Yes.
But the lifespan, you expect to be 10 years.
12 years.
Yes, sir, at least a 12-year CAD system. Of course, technology advances, they are getting better. So I would venture to say we're looking at a 12 to 15-year lifespan of this particular CAD system. GeoConnex has 2 installs in the state of Georgia, Union County and Chattooga County. I went up there, spoke with the directors and dispatchers for these agencies, for these counties, very well pleased with it. We actually took a trip to Knoxville, Tennessee, where GeoConnex is based out of, toured their facility. We had a demo there. We were very well impressed. And on the way back, we stopped, and I say we had Sheriff's Office personnel with us as well, because they are part of this CAD system as well. But they toured with us. We stopped by McMinn County, Athens, Tennessee. They're comparable to the population of Effingham County. I think they're like right at 53,000. But they are operating the latest, greatest GeoConnex, which is the same system we're looking at as well. I spoke with the director for 10 minutes, but I spoke with an hour and a half to the dispatchers, the actual end users of this product. They would fight you to get rid of it. They really love and really impressed with this system.
After the 6th year, then we'll have to renew a contract for support, or how would that work?
Yes, sir, it's up for renewal. Yes, sir.
And they may change some of the software at that point, or
Yes, sir, there could be upgrades, and with the service maintenance agreement, upgrades are free. That's included
during that.
in that, yes, sir. Mhm.
Yeah, and we were actually getting more. It's good that Motorola's got a little competition out there, and I was going to ask you about that, but you already answered the question about how good they are.
Yes, sir, we were actually getting,
Motorola's had us, rather, good guys and good equipment, but they've had us for a while, so it's good to have some competition.
absolutely.
And this is like 30,000 or a little more or less per year annually. So that alone will cover the additional costs around 350, originally the 500,000 for this new system. So
Correct.
really
Yes, sir.
more eight stations, I think, is that right?
Yes, sir, 8 stations, because we're currently 5 right now, and with the sheriff's office coming on board, it's going to be 8 stations. We had
More or less.
yes, sir, absolutely. The sheriff's office loves the CAD system. All of the county public safety heads were at the last demonstration. Everybody saw it to be very beneficial for their respective departments.
No, that's good. We have a little less people from us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good job. Any other questions? Motion for alternative number 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative number 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second by Mr. Floyd to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 8, consideration to approve the proposal for Symbiosis to provide cleaning assistance.
Good evening, Vicki Dunn, Human Resources Director. Yes, sir, as you know, we've had a few setbacks hiring our zoning administrator. We have an interim zoning administrator on board now. Prior to her coming on board, we had talked with ACCG and also one of the people that we had considered for our zoning administrator, and they gave us some names, the name of Denise Grabowski to contact to see if we could get some help from her. Ms. Grabowski had provided a contract to us that you reviewed in December, but the cost was was more than what we were expecting, so you were not satisfied with that. What's happened now is Ms. Grabowski has come back with a proposal for work. What she's offered to do is go down with the zoning administrator, go through some of the procedures and processes and things that's supposed to happen in the zoning office. It seems that maybe those haven't been updated in quite a while, so what she would do is come in, go through the processes and procedures, make sure things are set up as they should be, and then provide that information to us, the form documents, provide that to us for us to use from them forward. One interesting note, I think, is Mr. Grabowski used to work for Effingham County in the zoning department back in 2008, I believe, but her position, or that office, was reduced, and she lost her position due to the reduction in force.
No, I looked at she's going to be providing it. I think it'd be a great help. I don't see how the zoning administrator, you know, that zoning administrator, you know,
No, sir, we still have our interim zoning administrator, knock on wood.
where's she go? Run them off as fast as they come.
No, sir, she's here. The cost of the proposal is $5,000. That would include both all of the documents she'll provide to us and any expenses she has, the mileage going back into. Our county attorney has also reviewed the proposal and finds it correct to form.
Our current director, should appreciate it. So, any questions?
How long does she think this is going to take?
She's approximately 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
I think that'd be great with the workload we've had with our county clerk and his own issues. We really could use a revamp, restart.
5,000 well spent.
And we do have money available in the budget and development services account,
Very good.
or department, excuse me.
Should have money in the salary account to help cover this.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Any other questions? Comments? The motion for alternative number 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative number 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mr. Deloach to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Any carries.
Thank you.
Number 9, consideration to approve the second reading of an ordinance lowering the speed limit on Stillwell, Sister Ferry, and Clio Kildare roads.
Yes, sir, there's no additional commentary from staff. If you all recall, you did approve the first reading on January 15th. I believe there was some conversation, but staff still recommends approval of
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a quick question. Commissioner Loper and I were speaking before the meeting, and on Stillwell Clyde Road, I just wanted to verify 3725 Stillwell Road to Cuba Road. I think that is a small distance, but I didn't know, can we show that, or Mike, do you have that by any chance?
Let me look here to see how it's running.
Stillwell Road ends at the railroad track in downtown Stillwell.
But this area is before Cougar Road, it's not on the other side of it, it's before Cougar Road, probably,
I know, but when you say Stillwell Road, that runs from Springfield to downtown Stillwell. Then from the railroad track to Clyde is Stillwell Clyde Road, and but it's in here, Stillwell Road, it doesn't.
Well, but it's got 3725
Yeah, but I don't know where that's.
Stillwell. I believe that is on one side of Mr. Jackie Lewis's house to right there at Cuba Road.
Yeah.
So basically, from my understanding, we are moving the speed limit sign from one side of Mr. Jackie's residence
To
to the other side to have a longer distance for people to slow down before they get to the current light.
so it should be Stillwell Clyde Road, not Stillwell.
That's what I'm saying,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes,
Just make sure we don't restrict 10 miles of road.
that's right.
Pick up in the.
Yeah.
That's for sure, I brought it up.
Okay, so make sure, so just, it starts here, just move it back to here, give them a little more time. So we're not changing the speed limit at all, just.
On this one, yes, it's not, it's not
I got you.
much change.
And I spoke with the state trooper that lives in the Clyde Kildare area, and he strongly recommends that we include that one.
That's all when I was wanting to, but I've been trying to get a chance to do it on 35, I thought it was little, he highly recommended it.
Okay. And it's very obvious.
Okay, very good.
You try it.
And that's where that came from, was from his request to take a look at it.
That sounds good. Okay, any other questions? Do you have a motion to approve the second reading?
Make a motion to approve second reading.
Okay, motion by Mr. Deloche to approve the second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Burdette. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Okay, so you said no?
Yeah, that's right. No, I denied it the first time, so nothing changed as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 ayes and 1 nay. Okay. Mr. Loper, voting no. All right, item number 10, consideration to approve an agreement for the county to act as fiscal agent for Family Connection.
Yes, sir. The county has acted as fiscal agent for this entity for a number of years, so they're just asking that we continue to do so. This agreement will run from July 1 of 2019 through June 30th of 2020. Staff does recommend approval.
Okay, any questions or discussion?
Make a motion to approve order number 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Loper to approve alternative number 1, second by Mr. Deloche. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. All right, item number 11, consideration to approve policy procedures application and film agreement for filming in Effingham County.
Yes, sir. As you all are well aware, the county has become a popular venue for filming. We've had at least 3 in the past 2 months of requests for filming here in the county. As a result, staff and you guys, we found it necessary that we implement some policies, procedures, applications for this use. I have taken time to do so. That information has been provided to you. There is an application along with the policies and the procedures, as well as the location film agreement that was previously drafted by the county attorney. As recommended by the chairman previously, it is outlined for that information to come through the clerk's office and be reviewed by the clerk. The checklist, the application, the agreement, the appendix, there's a schedule of fees there as well, which was created based on surrounding county fees. So this information has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney.
And this would allow Ms. Johnson to approve this if all this was completed, the sheriff and all signs off, wouldn't have to come before us unless there was a question or objection.
Can I throw a kink in this? And Stephanie, you're gonna kill me,
Go ahead.
because I was supposed to talk to you about this. The chamber, I talked with Brad Carl with the chamber, and he has scheduled a meeting for Friday with the Savannah Film Counts, what do they call that? To come up and speak and have a meeting, because he thinks they can help facilitate, not facilitate, but give some ideas. Is the board okay with tabling this without Stephanie shooting me?
Wow, it's a lot of work.
Well,
Hey, and Brad requested, I was supposed to ask if you would attend that meeting, and I've been busy the last 2 days.
I wonder if we can move forward with the approval and making adjustments to it.
We can do that, I'm okay with
You
that.
may, I would suggest you go to the meetings, which you can learn.
Yes.
My thought.
And then if there's any recommended changes, we could always come back.
And this meeting is.
I'm just trying to afford them the opportunity to have some input, because we are, through the chamber, we're a film-ready community, and,
Who's the meeting with again?
I'm sorry.
The meeting is with who?
It's at the Chamber of Commerce, but they're having a Savannah film,
Oh, the Savannah Film Office?
yes,
Okay.
coming up.
A lot of the information that's incorporated here is.
Yeah, and she, I believe they actually, Brad got the information off the website, and they kind of reviewed it and said there was a few things we may could improve on. I don't know what they are, but I'm fine if y'all can approve it, and then we can attend the meeting. It's Friday, and anybody's welcome. I mean, Brad just, he's the one I talked to, because unfortunately I was the one on the news talking about Effingham County.
Well, I know that we have one upcoming, and I have spoke with Brad. Apparently, somebody has reached out to him who did contact me. They want to film in the area sometime before our next meeting.
Okay.
So I was hoping we could have something in place.
Okay, well, I'm fine with that. That'll get this in place for you to handle this situation.
And just come back with some tweaks if you'd like us to change that particular thoughts. But I like having something so if something comes up, and it is going to come up now.
It will.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions or comments?
In this agreement, without looking at every piece of it, if what they want to do doesn't meet your criteria, can they still pursue that with the board, or is it they need to meet the criteria in order to do their job?
Well, I think that's the purpose of the policies and procedures.
Well, I would say they can still come to the board if they needed to, but we don't want to have to come to the board.
Right.
That just streamlines
the conversation.
I mean, ultimately, everybody has redress with the board.
Right. If they apply on Tuesday and it's that meeting, one of the meetings, 3 weeks before we meet again, which happens, then they're really slow down. Now they got a process that can approve, but if it can't be approved through the process, she can tell them I put it on the agenda for the board. I think that fails. Okay. Alternative one is to approve the document as presented for now. We have a motion for alternative number one.
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Motion, Mr. Burdette, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Kiefer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Any carried. Okay. Next item, administrative reports. The administrative reports? Okay. Now, Ms. Goran, see who's got some.
Very quickly, I have with me, and you will have shortly, your budget report for last quarter. And also the ACCG conference is upcoming in April. I believe those dates are April 26th through the 29th. If you are interested in attending, and I think you all usually do because it's so close to get your continuing education credits, you'll have the information. I have a copy that includes all of the courses being offered. You'll let me know what you would like to attend and any other details, hotels, and I can go ahead and get you registered for that.
4/26 through what?
April 26th through the 29th. And I heard today while I was at training that when this opened up, I guess about 2 weeks ago, the hotel at the Westin was booked within 6 hours. So there is no availability at the Westin.
Well, I'm more interested in getting the courses, they fill out really fast. If we can get those tomorrow, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
that's an
I was gonna say that
education
too. Yeah, that's right.
Because point you really need.
That's right. So if maybe you guys can get a look at it this week, so we can get you registered by the end of the week. That'd be great.
I'll get around tomorrow, like this.
Thank you,
Anything else?
that's all I have.
Anything from you or our staff? No? Okay. Mr. Whitaker?
I'm fine.
Mr. Lewis?
I attended a meeting, the Home Builders Association coordinated a meeting with the city of Savannah addressing the Benton Boulevard Highlands Drive issue with truck traffic. Attended that meeting this morning. No solutions, it was more kind of see what everybody's concerns are. So there'll be more forthcoming meetings, it's kind of get our feet wet on the issues.
How'd the DOT meeting go in Atlanta?
Good, well.
Okay. We'll hear more about that later. I reckon just, so I couldn't be here. Mr. Burdette? Mr. Floyd, again? Okay. I believe we have a need for executive session to talk about personnel, maybe some property and litigation. So I have a motion for executive session.
Make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel, property, and pending litigation.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rhodes, second by Mr. Kiefer, on executive session, discuss personnel, property, and litigation. All in favor, say aye. All in favor, no. We have executive session.
You lost it.